Chapter 1. Have I lost my mind? Fear is faith that it won't work out. Elbert Hubbard. Oh, my Lord, what have I done? I gasped. I stared out the kitchen window as 6 violent criminals stomped up my driveway. Hunter, my 4-year-old adopted son, stood on tiptoes trying to get a glimpse of what had me so terrified. Your mama has messed up big time, I said. For the last month I had pictured this moment time and time again, but it had looked very different. In my imagination, the women would skip up the driveway, giggling and talking excitedly. I'd open the door with a loud welcome, and the women would race toward me, enveloping me in big, grateful bear hugs. After they'd thank me profusely for being so wonderful, we'd sit around the kitchen table, have lunch, drink tea, share laughs, and get to know each other. But these women stomping up my driveway didn't look like they wanted tea. They looked like they wanted blood. Had I lost my mind? Jeff, my husband, had predicted this. "You'll get yourself killed, Brenda," he said when I first told him my plan to rehabilitate female convicts. "You've had a lot of wild schemes in your life, but this is the craziest I've ever heard." Yes, but a lot of my schemes had worked out. And besides, this was different. This time it wasn't about me. Now, 6 very scary women, just released from the roughest women's prison in the country, were in my driveway. I thought I had figured it all out. After spending months helping female convicts at a work release center, I thought I understood them. I had spoken with the inmates, we had prayed together, and they had seemed genuine in their desire to turn their lives around and start over. But now I doubted everything. How could I have been so stubborn, so driven, so foolish? How could I have put my little boy in danger? The night before, I'd combed through their jackets, prison files, and discovered with horror that the parole board wasn't sending me the non-violent offenders I'd visited at the work release center. Instead, the women who had just shown up in front of my house had spent collectively 100 years behind bars for crimes such as armed robbery, possession, drug dealing, prostitution, and manslaughter. I found out later that these were the hopeless cases stamped "cannot be rehabilitated," that all other programs had rejected. At the work release center, I helped women who were struggling to get their lives together. But the women coming to my home were so hardened, so dangerous, that the system had given up on them. These were not the women I had bargained for. I was supposed to rehabilitate them for the next 9 months to a year. I wrapped my arms tight around Hunter. I should have dropped him off with a nanny, but I had been running late. My heart pounded so hard I was sure Hunter could hear it beating. I didn't want to scare him, so I took a breath and tried to find a portion of calm. It wasn't that I hadn't prepared. I'd hired a house mother, a cook, and a driver. I owned a 6,000-square-foot house with 7 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms on 10 acres of property that no one lived in. Hob Hill was perfect. It would become my whole-way house for parolees as they transitioned into the real world. This is a good plan, I reassured myself. These women would learn a skill and receive counseling, therapy, and, if need be, treatment for addiction. Since my program was faith-based, I'd teach them about Jesus, his unconditional love, the power of faith, and the reality of redemption. Then I'd get in my Cadillac Escalade and hightail it back to my new home in a gated community a few miles away. I reminded myself that I was just supervising this program. You see, I'd be able to supervise it without really getting my hands dirty. I wouldn't give up my whole life. This would be more a hobby than a vocation. And this is how I'll be able to keep that promise I made. Much of my family had been understandably furious with me for pressing forward with my plan, but Melinda, my 28-year-old, caught my passion and crazy vision. She and I had spent the last month